Welcome back in. Let's keep it rolling with what America hopes will be one of the final installments of a Big Ten championship game decided by divisions. Allow me to remind you, the West has never won a Big Ten championship game since the conference realigned back in 2014. So once again, we have before us a David versus Goliath matchup, except in this story, David really never conquers Goliath. Maybe Purdue ends that this year. We will see. But here to add some better context to this matchup is our friend Sam Webb from the Michigan Insider. Sam, Michigan finds themselves in a similar situation this year as they did last. They beat Ohio State and they are playing for a conference title. But how does this year's squad compare to last?
I think it is a more dominant unit offensively. It's a better offensive line. As good as the running game was last year, Hassan Haskins is outstanding. He's playing with the Tennessee Titans right now. Running game this year is better. And you learn that, if you didn't think that already, with Blake Corum, your best player, your Heisman Trophy contender, out, Donovan Edwards with one hand, his right hand's broken. He comes in the game and rushes for over 200 yards, has the two longest runs in series history with Ohio State. So they're just more rounded. And when you consider it's a defense devoid of stars. It's the no-star defense. This is what Jim Harbaugh said in the preseason. Hayden Hutchinson was a first-round pick. Dax Hill's a first-round pick. David Ojabo would have been a first-round pick, was selected in the second round. And here this unit comes in, and they're really more sound. Low on star power, high on execution, on being connected, on depth. You had your best defensive player out in this game versus Ohio State in Mike Morris. And then you had a couple of guys, Braden McGregor and Jalen Harrell, step up and be game changers in that game, holding Ohio State to 3 points in the second half. It's just a more all-around team. Last year was about getting over the hump, showing you could beat Ohio State. This year was about confirmation that the tide has turned in the rivalry.
Certainly, they have that belief this year. Now, I compared it to a David and Goliath, so let's size up David. He had the slingshot. What does Purdue have in terms of weaponry?
You know what? If you're Michigan, frankly, and this is not to downplay Purdue, your biggest concern in this game is injury. You don't want, another significant injury like you just suffered with Blake Corum. Fortunately, Michigan was able to overcome that. If you're asking me what's the biggest concern with Purdue itself, I would say Jeff Brom. He's a tactician. And so he's the kind of coach that can take a look at a defense like Michigan's that hasn't shown many vulnerabilities and pick out those that are there and craft a game plan that exploits them. So what is it with Michigan? You saw it a little bit early in the game last week against Ohio State. Little unbalanced, little formation to the sideline, up tempo. Get Michigan misaligned. Get them before they can get lined up and set defensively. That has been something that different teams have exploited throughout the season. Just they haven't been able to sustain it. Well, Jeff Brom is this kind of coach, like I said, that can look at that can come up with a game plan that will keep that a part of his attack plan all game long. And I expect to see that from Purdue on Saturday. I just don't think it'll be enough to bridge the cavernous gap that exists in this game.
Yeah, feels like two ends of the spectrum here. Michigan kind of playing against Michigan in this one. Sam, Harbaugh said, to hell with the idea. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Cade McNamara got them to the same place they're in this year, but he opted to go with J.J. McCarthy to lead this football team. Why?
Emily, so Cade was an outstanding leader for this team, made plays for Michigan last year when he was called upon. But when they got to the Orange Bowl against Georgia, I think you saw the difference between a championship contender and a champion. Stetson Bennett in that game, who a lot of people downplayed, the Georgia coaching staff, to balance the equation in the box, put the game on Stetson Bennett's shoulders and said, go win it for us. And to Stetson Bennett's credit, he was able to do that. They had a great defense, but go back and look at the game Stetson Bennett played. They ran 13, 14 RPOs in the first half. That is a coaching staff telling their quarterback, go win it for us. And I don't think Michigan had that quotient, had a really good quarterback, really good leader. But when you get to the championship level, you need a ball player. And you saw J.J. McCarthy be that kind of ball player last week, where his starting running back is down. All the chips are down. It's looking like Ohio State might be able to start putting his foot on your throat. Here this guy comes out and throws back-to-back touchdown passes of over 60 yards. That is what you have. He can run the football. He's just a gamer. He has the big arm. He can run the football, and he has the moxie. That is the difference. That's what you have with J.J. McCarthy, a guy who you can say, hey, young fella, go win it for me. That's what he did last week against Ohio State. That's what I think he's capable of doing in the playoffs.
You're our J.J. McCarthy. We have you come in. You're a gamer too. Thank you so much, Sam, for all the great insight. We appreciate it. Make sure you're following him on Twitter @SamWebb77 and head to the Michigan Insider for all things Wolverines and to Boiler Sports Report for the latest Purdue news. And don't forget, we're going to pick this game with our betting expert from CBS Sportsline, so stay tuned for that.